Okay, so our second topic will be Google Slides. So right here at Google Slides, if you want to follow along with the notes, right, just click on the notes. So here's an outline of all the things I'll talk about. Let's go through Google Slides. Okay, so first thing, if you want to open up a Google Slide or make a new Google Slide, you're going to have to be in your Drive. Again, however you organize it, so I have it as the class and then Google Apps, and then I actually have a slide folder. So I'm in my Google Slides folder. And remember, wherever I open up a new slide presentation, that's where Google Drive will actually store and save your presentation. Okay, and how do we do it? So go to New, let's go to Google Slides, and remember, this is just telling me that I'm in a folder now that has shared properties, so whatever I put in will also have those properties. This nice little reminder. And this is the beauty about Google Apps here. A lot of the stuff is very similar. So the first part, all right, now here is the symbol that Google uses for Google Slides. Right, it's a yellow, an orangish yellow that has two squares. If I click this, then I go to my slide home, which is where it stores all my slides. Right, these are all my slide presentations. Right, again, those are on my Drive, but here it houses them all in one place. If I want to get back, I just hit the arrow. Just like the Google Docs, here I have, this is how I name it. Right, so I name my document. Let's do class slide presentation, or example. All right, and now I've renamed my slides. I have the same kind of things. Let's get rid of this theme stuff first. We'll get to all that. Once I put in my name, you can see I have a star for important, or again, I can organize it just like I did our Google Docs. Here now is how I present things. So I have two choices. I can do the presenter view where I have my notes on the screen, I can see them, or I can just present from the beginning. Right? And this is how we'll start our slideshow. I can do comments just like we did in Google Docs. I can share just like everything that Google has, and it's all the same. I can do one person at a time. I can let them edit my work, comment, or just view. I can go to advanced now, right, and go to the change. And I can do the whole world can either view, edit, or comment. Anyone with a link can view, edit, or comment, or nobody can do any of that stuff. All right, so the same sharing. Same idea here. We have menu bars. All right, so the file, I can share. Remember, Google has the redundancy. This is just like the Google Doc. I have new stuff I can create, I can open stuff, I can rename, right? Again, which is the same as just double clicking on this part up here like I did before. I can make a copy, I can organize all this stuff. So all this stuff's the exact same as Google Docs. I can actually download this as a PowerPoint, and I can do page setups, and I can print. All right? And my editing, undo, redo, all that good stuff. I can cut, copy, paste, just like I do with Google Docs. Now we can view, so we can do the present view. So again, it's the same as this button to the right. We can look at our animations, which we'll talk about later. We can view our master. So we can set up our master such that we duplicate or insert new slides. We always get our master slide. Here's just zoom, right? We can zoom in, zoom out. We can snap, so once we start putting stuff on our slides, we can snap to a grid or guidelines. HTML, we can look at the code. Again, here is the full screen. If you wanted to see full screen, get rid of all our toolbars. To exit full screen, hit escape. We can insert, right? Text box, we can insert images, charts. So just like we did on the Google Docs, here we have all our drawing stuff now. We can do lines and shapes. We can insert tables. We can insert slide numbers. We can do comments, but we could also do comments with this button to the right. We can insert new slides, right? The slide itself, I can get a new slide, I can duplicate, I can delete. I can change the layouts, the themes, I can go next slide, previous slide. So this menu button is nice, but I'll show you how to do all that by right-clicking. So we're going to get all that information if we right-click a slide too. All right. Then we have format. So once I'm inside of a slide, I can format, and I have all my normal formatting features, just like I did in Google Docs. So I can arrange things on a slide. I can order things, bring them to front, send them back. I can center them, I can rotate them. So once I get drawings and stuff, I can either group them or ungroup them so that if I move one, they move them all. Okay, I have tools, I have spelling, same idea for the Google Docs. I have research define, preferences, personal dictionary. Here's my nice table, right? So here's my menu for a table just like in Google Docs, and then I have help. Okay, and then just like in Google Docs, I have a separate shortcut toolbar. So here I can have a new slide. I can have all these themes. I can actually print, undo, redo. Here's paste the formats. I can zoom to fit. I can just zoom, insert text box, insert image, insert drawings. Here I can comment. And then background, layout, theme, and transition. This is what we'll talk about. Okay, but so far the actual menus are pretty much identical to Google Docs. Let's start with the background. So the background is the background of the slides. So right now all my slides are white. Let's say I'm going to make a light blue. Okay, I can also put an image. So if I wanted all the backgrounds to be some sort of an image, right? When we insert an image, we can just drag the image into this image area. I can actually take a snapshot. I can go to the web and find a URL address. I can go to my drive. So if I wanted the slide, so I'll have the background image of my dog. I just go get the picture for my dog. Right, and I can either add this to the theme or I can just do this single slide. Okay, now the layout. So I have all these different versions. So right now you'll see I have a big title and a subtitle. So I just have two things. I can change that to just one title. I can change that to looks like a title and then two boxes. All right, so I have all these different layouts. All right, I have a nice little title, subtitle, and then text here. So kind of half shaded, half unshaded. All right, I'm going to stick with the big title and the subtitle. And don't worry, we're not fixed. We can move all this stuff around, and we can add more text box and stuff. So we can change the layout when we start, creating our slides. Okay, so here are our themes. You'll notice if I change, I've already changed the background, so if I click on some of these, nothing happens. Okay, you can see I have the same kind of background still, but now I have this little kind of page. Okay, so this splits it into, my background and then my white. Right, here I have a nice little theme, so you can scroll through and pick a theme you like. You can see the reason why this color is different than this color because I changed the background. Okay, you'll see now if I go to background and if I reset, it'll reset to this default theme. Right, so that's how I can get the colors. So if you change your background and your theme isn't showing up, just go to the background and hit reset. Okay, so that's how we can get different themes. I don't know why, but I'll pick this theme. So if you want to get rid of this menu, just hit the X. Alright, so now I have a theme. Okay, I have transitions. Okay, now transitions allow me to transition between slides. So to make that point, let's actually click out of this menu and let's get another slide. So I'm going to right click. So right click this menu and I want to duplicate this slide. So if I do that, right, I'm going to have the exact same format, the exact same theme I had before. And you'll see if I add a new slide, I'll get the exact same theme and format I had before as well. All right. But the duplicate actually, if I have things on an original slide, I like to duplicate them so I have to type everything over again, or so I can keep the animations. Okay, so let's talk about transitions. Now transitions are coming into slides and between two slides. So now with transition, I have 6 options. I can either fade, slide in from the right, from the left, flip, cube, or gallery. So I'm going to fade on this first one. And then on the second one, so if I want to change a transition, I have to change the slide itself. So I have to click on the slide. I'm going to change it to slide in from the right. The third one I'm going to change from the left. And then I'm going to get 3 new slides. So I'm going to duplicate this slide. I'm going to hit Command Y to redo things. So I'll redo my 2 duplicates. So now I'll go to slide 4. And you'll see I duplicated it so it's coming in from the left. But I want to change that to flip. I want to change this one into cube. And this last one I want to change into gallery. So those are all of my 6 possible transitions. And you'll see, let's go to the first one. Let's close out of this menu. I'm going to hit present. And it's already on the first slide, so we don't really see the fade. So let's actually X out of this. Let me duplicate this slide. Okay, and then on the first slide, I'm going to turn off my transition, so no transition. But then on the second slide, I'll have a fade. So that's when I'll start my slides. Right? And let's even click that. So you can see it. This is the fade, so I'll add a little text here. Here's my fade slide. You can see as I click, since I haven't closed the menu, I can see what my transition is. Let's click in here, slide right, from right. This one is slide from left. This one is flip. This one is cube. And then our last one is gallery. All right, so if I go back to the beginning, now let's do our presentation. So you see the first one, I don't have anything. And then I'm going to fade in. That was my fade. Here's my slide from the right. Here's my slide from the left. Here's my flip. Here's my cube. And then here's my gallery. So those are our 6 transitions. To get out of presentation mode, you hit escape. So here I have 7 slides, one of which doesn't have a transition, the other 6 do. Okay, so those are my transitions. So we learned how to type stuff, so I just click in the little subtitle parts and I type. If I want to move them, I grab the border, I click the mouse button, and I hold it, and then I move around. And you'll notice if I go a little bit to the left, that little red line goes away. As soon as I see the red line, it means that this box is centered in the middle. Okay, and that would happen too if I wanted to center them vertically. So you can see this line is centered vertically, where this line is centered, this box is centered horizontally. Okay, and if I want to change the dimensions, just like we did with any of the table stuff or images, I click on the squares in the corner, and then I can drag however I want. So let's say I want to move it up, further down. I want to put this not quite in the center, so right there, but I want to center this one. Right, so here are all my options. I can change font color, line color, just like I did in the Google Docs. Right? I can change the actual text, I can change the side, and here's my more. So my more now, remember, you don't see buttons, go to more. I want to align that text in the center. Okay, so that's my gallery. And now here I'll write some more text. So let's put step 1, step 2, and step 3. And you'll notice it's outside the text box, so I'll grab the bottom and fill it up. I don't quite need that much space. And now I'll put it kind of right under that. All right, so that's how we can add text. That's how we can actually move around our text boxes, and we can size our text boxes. If I wanted a new text box, I can either go to Insert Text Box, or I can go to this shortcut button. And just like inserting any text box, I click and hold, and I drag my mouse until I get, the size I want. And remember, it doesn't really matter because I can always resize my text box. All right, so I click my text box, and I can start typing. Okay, and you can see that my text box, the one I've added, the actual formats are different. So if I want to make the same formats, I have to look to see what this is. This is Roboto 21. So what I'll do is click the text box. I'll change to Roboto. Right there. And we'll change it to 21. There is no 21, so I'll type 21. Okay, it's outside my box, so I'll fix the dimensions of my box. And now I need to make the text white. I need to go to more, and now here is my text color. Let's change it to white, and then you can see I'm all the same. If we wanted to, so let's undo, let's click on this text box. Let's do my paintbrush, so I want to copy all the formats, and then I want to make sure, though, all that stuff is highlighted. And then I just copied all the formats. Right? So that's a quick way. Okay, so just like our transitions for slides, inside a particular slide, I can actually do what are called animations. And that's what this is all about. So my slide, let's click out of this so you can see if we weren't here. So how do I get to animations? You'll notice if I click in the actual text box, all my background theme, all those buttons go away. I get to these editing buttons. If I click outside, so I'm not in a text box, then I get my background layout theme transition back. Okay, and if I want to do transitions between slides or add animations, I have to click the transition button. Okay, so now I click what I want to do for transition. So I want to transition this entire text box. Then I want to add an animation. So there are two types of things we're interested in. Transitions, which happens to slides themselves, how to transition into a slide, and then animations, which actually animates things in slides. So I want to add an animation. You can see I have all these options. I can appear, I can disappear, fade in, fade out. So I have all of these options for animations. Okay, we're going to start with appear. So what I'm asking, or what I'm telling Google Slides to do is to take this text box and appear. I want it to appear. When do I want it to appear? Either when I click something, or after a previous, or with a previous. So we're going to do the first one when I click, and then how fast do I want it to appear? Do I want it to dissolve and appear slowly, or do I want it just to be instant? So I want mine to be instant. Okay, so now I want to play this. I can actually play the animation, and it'll show me what's going on. So that's my transition. It's waiting for me to click. So once I click, then I get step 1, 2, 3. So it showed me the slide transition, and it was waiting for me to click. All right. Okay, so let's add another one. How about this? So this one's going to appear when I click. I want this box to fade in, and I want it to do medium. Let's do 2 seconds. So it'll take 2 seconds to fade in. And I want it to do it right after the previous. So once I click and this appears, I don't have to click again. This second text box will just fade in. Okay, and I want to do it in 2 seconds. And you can see I have a gallery transition, I have an appear, and then I have a fade in. So it lists all the stuff that's going on. So if I were to play that, that's my gallery, right? Here's my click to get step 1, and you can see the text 1 and 2, 3 automatically faded in. Okay, I want to focus just on this gallery slide. I don't want all the rest of these slides. So if I ever want to delete a slide, I click on the slide I want to delete, and I hit delete, right? If you're unsure about that or you made a mistake, then just do undo or Control Z and you'll get it back. But I want to delete all these slides. So I'm just going to highlight them, and in this case I'm hitting the up arrow button to get to the next slide. So once I'm on these slides, I can use the arrow buttons. So I'll click, I'm going to get rid of this first one. So I have the fade slide and then the gallery slide. Alright, and I'm going to change this. Since our animations, the first thing was appear on a click, I'm going to change this to click 1, click 2, and click 3. So what we have we have fade in, and we fade in on a click. Right? We want to do that after the previous though. So for some reason it changed to click. We don't want that. So you can see the first one's going to appear on a click, and the second one's going to fade in after previous. So I'll change this to after. Okay, and then I'm going to do my third one, right, will be with previous. So I'm going to select this text box. I'm going to hit Command C to copy, click out, and then Command V, and I'll paste it. So we can paste, cut and paste, and copy and paste just like anything we do in Google Docs. And now this is going to be my width. So let's put width. All right, and let's add our final animation. So I'll click my box, I'll add an animation, and let's say instead of, I'm going to fly in from the right, and I'm not going to do it on a click, I'm going to do it with the previous. Okay, and I'm going to do it in 1 second. Okay, so that should be 1 second. So the default should be 1 second. Alright, so now what's going on? My first text box is going to appear when I click. So my second text box is going to fade in after my first one. And then my third one is going to fly in from the right, but with this previous. Alright, so I have a click, after, and then with. So this will happen on the click. This will happen right after I clicked it. And then this will happen with, this fade in. So let's see if that's true. Let's play. I get my gallery transition first. You can see it's waiting for me to click. And then you can see it faded in and it moved it from the right all at the same time. Okay, and you can watch the arrow. There's a red arrow that shows what it's doing at each individual stage. So let's go into our click here. And you can see here's my animation appear. And if I ever want to edit an animation, I just click it. Alright, so I have appear, it's going to do on a click. I did my speed, but I hadn't talked about this by paragraph. So you'll notice when I click, the entire text box comes up. If I click by paragraph now, you'll see when I play it, here's my gallery transition. It's waiting for me to click. I click, but I only get the first text. Then every time I click, I get the next one. So that's what the by paragraph does for me. It'll actually fade in pieces of a text box, not all at once. Alright, let's try that with the fade in. Let's do by paragraph. Let's hit our play. So that's our gallery. It's waiting for me to click. That's my 1, click 2, click 3. You can see after 1, after 2, after 3. It's doing it all by itself. And then this width will not come in until after this last 3 has been presented. Okay, so that's the by paragraph part. And if you want to change how fast things go, right, this is our little slider box. Alright, so the take home, if you want to edit an animation, click on it. If you want to minimize all the properties, click on it again. And here's a list of all the animations on this slide. So I have a gallery transition, I have an appear, a fade in, and a fly in from the right. Now, I don't only have to make stuff appear, I can make things disappear. So let's add a transition. So let's click on our slide. All right, so let's say I want to get rid of this. So after I come in with the width 1 and 2, I want this click 1 and 2 to disappear. So I'm going to add an animation. I want it to disappear this time, and I want it to do it instantly. And I don't want it to do it one at a time, I want the whole thing. As soon as this one's over, right, it's going to wait for me to click. And when I click, it'll get rid of click 1, 2, and 3. So let's play. There's my gallery, waiting for me to click 1, 2, 3. Then it'll do the rest on its own. Okay, and now it's waiting for me to click, and it'll get rid of that whole text box. So that's how we can make things appear and disappear. Okay, so you can see if I go into all the animations, for every appear, so anything that shows, we have a disappear. Here's a fade in, fade out. Fly in left, fly in right, but then we have fly out left, fly out right. In from bottom, in from top, out from bottom, out from top. Okay, so anything that can come into your slide can actually leave your slide as well. All right, I'm going to talk about one more thing before we do zoom and spin. So let's say I don't want this to disappear at the end. I want it to disappear right after I do all this fade in stuff. All right, so what I can do is, first of all, I'm going to change this time. That 2 seconds was way too long. So let's make it a second. And now I don't want it to disappear at the end, so I click and hold it, and then I can move it. So now what's happened is I'm going to appear in a click. I'm going to fade in. It's going to take 1 second a piece. Then right after this, I want to disappear. Okay, so I don't want to actually click this. So I'm going to hit to edit. I don't want to click it. I want it to do it after the previous. So what's going to happen is, actually I'm going to change this to with previous. So what's going to happen is, with previous, is as soon as it gets to after 3, it starts to fade in, this is going to disappear. All right, so now you can see I have appear on click. I'm going to fade in after my last click, and then it's going to disappear all by itself. So let's see if it does that. So here's my gallery. That's me clicking once, clicking twice, clicking 3 times. This is doing it on its own, and then you can see it did happen, right? So when this 3 popped up with it, that disappeared. Okay, so that's how you can get things to come in and out without you having to click. Okay, so let's do our zoom. So I'm going to click this. Let's say I want to zoom in on this. I'm going to add an animation, and I want to not fade in. So here's a weird thing with Google Slides. You'll notice that I can only scroll down to fly out to the left, and there are more. So I can actually use my arrow keys and get there, but I can't see anything. And I can't minimize, so if I minimize my window, I still can't see anything. So that's kind of an error here, is there is no scroll button, right? I can't go down there. So I have some options here. Either I can count and figure out how far down I need to do my arrow. So if I click on my arrow and arrow down and I get to where I need to be and hit enter, it'll enter it. Or what I would recommend is, let's move this up to the top for right now. And then let's see. So now I want to zoom in. And I want to zoom in after everything. All right, so after the previous, and I want it to do it for a second. All right, so I click to minimize, and then I can just move this down. So if you can't see animations, you can just kind of do that little trick. All right, so now let's play this. Then you can see what happens was it kind of made it disappear, and then it immediately zoomed in. Okay, so the zoom in is another way to bring things in. It goes from small to large. So keep that in mind, or make a note. It's not actually zooming in on the text. It's how to bring in the text, going from small to large. Okay, and then zoom out would be the same thing, except it'll take the text out by going from large to small. All right, let's do our last one here. So once we do all this, let's get rid of the fly in from the right. So I don't want that here anymore. So what I can do to get rid of an animation is hit the X, and you'll see it's no longer there. So I'm going to zoom in, and then after that, let's say we just spin this whole thing. All right, so here's my animation. Again, I can't see the spin, so I'm going to do my little trick where I move it up. I'll get to the spin, and I'll spin quickly. I'm going to do the whole thing, not one at a time, so I don't want to click the paragraph. And then I don't want to unclick, I want it after the previous, so I want it to do it all by itself. And then I'll move it all the way down to the bottom. All right, so let's play it, see what we got. Here's our gallery. Here's my click 1, 2, 3. Here's the fading all by itself. Here's the zoom in, and you can see then it's spun. All right, so those are some animations. Remember, all these toolbars, all these menus are great, but if we right-click a slide, I have all those options as well. I can make a new slide, duplicate, delete. I can change the background, do the layout, change the theme. So if you're ever confused, you don't see these buttons, like, oh, I really want to change the background. Right, remember, you just click out, you'll get it, but if you wanted to, you can just right-click and get them all on the left here. And the last thing, if you want to change the order of your slides, just like in our transitions and animations, I click a slide, I hit my mouse button and hold it, and then I can actually just drag it to where I need it to be. Okay, so that's how I can move positions of slides. All right, and that's Google Slides in a nutshell. Okay, and once again, when I create a Google slide, it automatically put it right where I open the slide. So, and you'll notice I wasn't hitting save at all. It automatically would save stuff. right? So it's telling me all changes have been saved in my drive. Okay, so you don't have to put it anywhere. It'll automatically be saved right where you opened it, and it'll save while you're making changes. Okay, so let's go to the challenge. So your slide challenge. So what I want you to do for a slide challenge is use Google Slides, and I want you to make a children's story. All right, and your children's story could be anything. Make sure it's school appropriate though. And here's the criteria. I want the length. I want at least one title slide. I want one author slide, and you have to have a minimum of 6 story slides. So in total, we have 8 slides. Okay, I need you to insert a text box somewhere, an image somewhere, word art somewhere, a drawing somewhere, and a table somewhere. And then I want your slides. I want 6 different backgrounds. All right, so they can't have the same background. I want at least one layout and then one theme. Okay, so you need to have 6 different backgrounds. There needs to be one layout and one theme. Okay, transitions. You need to use all 6 transitions between slides, and you know how it. So you have 6 story slides, then I want 6 transitions between those slides. Okay, animations, you have to use all 15, right? And here they are: appear, disappear, fade in, fade out, fly in, fly out, left, right, top, bottom, zoom in, zoom out, spin. So I want all the animations. Once you create your story, I want you to create a web page that's named My Children's Story. On your web page now, I want a description of the story. I want a picture, right? So give me some kind of picture that represents the story, and I want a link to your Google Slides, your story. Right? And then I want you to create a new navigation bar. So on the side, that sidebar, name it Children's Story, and then I want you to put your web page, this My Children's Story web page, right underneath that sidebar. Okay, and then make sure you share your children's story, your Google slide presentation with me, JTKNWU, and give me permission to edit. That's big. Okay, and that's your Google Slide challenge.